Finally, I do not think that black organizations are doing enough in the fight around jobs. Now, don't get me wrong. Reports are issued and press conferences are held. But where is the NAACP's Committee on the Unemployed? You know, just to pick on the NAACP. In the 1930s, the NAACP, but more specifically the Urban League, were often quite supportive of efforts to organize the unemployed and advocating on their behalf. Well, there are reports that are issued by the Urban League today, and they're invaluable. It's a very good resource. But what about a task force to support organizing the black unemployed? And what about religious institutions? In many cases, they're providing services that keep the destitute alive, and that's essential. But what about black religious institutions playing an analogous role to that played during the Civil Rights Movement? What about reinventing King's Poor People's Campaign? What about making that a faith-based movement, bringing together different faiths in a campaign for economic justice? Can you imagine the impact if black priests, ministers, and imams stood together to build a poor people's campaign for the 21st century? Let me return to a question of history. The racial differential has existed since the founding of this country. As a result, whites tend not to see black misery, including when it is right in front of them, because they would rather believe that this misery is self-imposed or self-originated. Yet we on the left know that this is far from the case, and that the racial differential itself is a means of social control over all workers and acts to further the oppression of people of color generally and African Americans in particular. At the end of the day, this question of jobs, black workers, and economic justice will need to be resolved through the emergence of a black force that insists upon change in the discussion. This does not mean that blacks can resolve the situation by ourselves, and it certainly does not mean that the broader economic justice fight is somehow irrelevant. What I'm getting at is that given that this is the United States, there is always a chance that this fight for economic justice and jobs, like so many others, will have an impact on the black worker without at the same time fundamentally addressing the racial sinkhole in which the black worker finds himself or herself. Just as the upsurges of the 1930s had a dramatic impact on hundreds of thousands of black workers, positive impact, yet ignored millions of others, we could witness an at least temporary improvement in the economy that has a positive impact on many black workers without ever touching Camden, East St. Louis, or Flint. As a left, our job is to ensure that this doesn't happen. Thank you very much.